Hello there, a very good evening. This is Primetime News on TV1. I'm Thiruni Karunaratna. We're coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Before we head on to your stories in detail, first up is a look at tonight's top stories. STF commandant and several senior police officers transferred. Plans to reduce water tariffs by the end of the month. Compensation paid to former parliamentarians was a bribe given by former President Ranil to Pohotua MPs to secure their support. Will launch an inquiry into the manner in which compensation was paid. A statement from Minister Nalinda.
කොහොමහරි තමන්ගේ පාක්ෂිකයව බේරවෙ ගිහිල්ලා ඒ අය හොඳට නේද මේ වන්දිසාගරේ පීන නාලා තියෙන බව තමයි පේන්නේ.
Bipartisan requests to recover excessive compensation paid to MPs.
ඉදිරියේදී ඉතින් අල්ලස් කමිසම වගේ දේවල්ට කාර්යභාරයක් තියෙනවා. ඇත්තටම මේ අය මේ තරම් විශාල දේපලක් රැස් කරගත්තේ කොහොමද කියන එක ගැන හොයලා බලන්න.
ඒ තක්සේරුව පාවිච්චි කරලා වැඩි මුදල් අරන් තියනවා නම් අනිවාර්යෙන් ඒ මුදල් නැවත අය කර ගැනීම සඳහා කටයුතු කළ යුතුයි සහ උන්ට අවශ්‍ය කරන නීතිමය ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගත යුතුයි.
New vehicles to be brought to the island after the 25th.
ඔබටම තෝරා ගන්න පුළුවන් ෂෝරූම්ස් 3-4කට ගිහිල්ලා හොඳ මිල මොකද්ද හරි මිල මොකද්ද කියලා බලලා වාහනේ ගන්න පුළුවන්.
On to those stories in detail now. The Commandant of the Police Special Task Force, Senior DIG and Attorney at Law Varuna Jayasundara has been transferred along with 5 other senior police officers. These transfers will take effect on the 12th of February following the approval of the National Police Commission.
Senior DIG Varuna Jayasundara, previously in charge of the Police Special Task Force, has been transferred to serve as the Senior DIG in charge of the Eastern Province. DIG DPS De Silva has been appointed as the new commandant of the Police Special Task Force. He previously served as the DIG in charge of the Kilinochchi and Mullaitivu districts. Senior DIG WK Jalath has been transferred from the Senior DIG in charge of the Northwestern Province to the Southern Province. Senior DIG K Ajit Rohana has been transferred from Senior DIG in charge of the Eastern Province to the Senior DIG in charge of the Northwestern Province. Senior DIG SWM Senaratna has been appointed as the new Senior DIG in charge of the Yuva Province after previously serving in the Southern Province. Senior DIG UPADKP Karunana has been transferred from the Senior DIG in charge of the Yuva Province to the Senior DIG in charge of the Special Protection Range. DIG SD Vijayasekara will now oversee both the Kilinochchi and Mullaitivu districts in addition to the Vavuniya and Mana districts.
The Ministry of Urban Development, Construction and Housing has announced that water tariffs will be reduced before the end of this month. Minister Anura Karunatilaka stated that the reduction in water tariffs is intended to provide more benefits to those who consume lesser quantities of water. Minister Anura Karunatilaka stated that several proposals for reducing water tariffs along with a 20% reduction in electricity bills have been put forward. The minister has instructed that all these proposals be reviewed and a report be submitted through a committee from the National Water Supply and Drainage Board. The minister further mentioned that when determining water tariffs, electricity bills contribute only about 40%. Accordingly, the new pricing will be announced in proportion to this. Cabinet spokesperson Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa says that an inquiry will be held into the manner in which compensation was paid to parliamentarians for the damage caused to their houses during the Aragalaya. He made the statement speaking at an event held in Peradeniya today.
වන්දි තක්සේරු කරන කාලෙදී ඒ ප්‍රදේශවල ප්‍රාදේශීය ලේකම්වරු
During the time when the houses were assessed, the divisional secretaries and valuers were summoned to Parliament. They were summoned to Parliament by a letter sent under the hand of the then chief organizer of the government, Prasanna Ranatunga. Officials who attended this meeting told the media that at the time that they were being influenced to inflate the value of the properties. The maximum amount of compensation that would be paid to anyone whose house is completely destroyed by natural disasters was 2.5 million. It is very hard to get this 2.5 2.5 million. Against such a backdrop, there was also no specific procedures to provide compensation for the houses that were damaged like this. However, President Ranil Wickremesinghe had changed those rules and regulations and made a procedure where they can take any amount of compensation that they need. There are several issues that crop up here. One is the fact that 43 MPs that had been given compensation ranging from 500,000 rupees to 98 million rupees. Now there are reports that these MPs had not just taken this compensation but also claimed from their insurance. These insurance companies must reveal to the public who out of the names that I presented had claimed from their insurance policies. Secondly, if the movable and fixed assets of these MPs were worth 70 to 80 million rupees, they must include details of these properties in their asset declarations that they submit to Parliament. We are receiving reports that these MPs had said that there were gems and jewellery in their houses that were damaged to try and inflate their value. Also, the general public from the areas where some of these MPs live informed us that their houses were not damaged that much and that only a few windows were broken. And they question as to how did these MPs receive such large amounts of compensation.
කොහොමහරි තමන්ගේ පාක්ෂිකයව බේරවෙ ගිල්ලලා ඒ අය හොඳට නේද මේ වන්දිසාගරේ පීන පීන නාලා තියෙන බව තමයි පේන්නේ.
It is clear that they had drowned their party supporters in the Bere Lake while they were swimming in an ocean of compensation. We hope to conduct an inquiry into this matter. We will be focusing on if the valuations are correct and how was this compensation provided. I saw one MP say that there were several chairs in his house and that 40 of his windows were damaged and that the compensation he received was insufficient. He had also said that some of the valuations on the houses did not include the historic value of the house. I would like to see all of the 43 MPs speaking on whether the compensation that they received was sufficient or not and what items were there in their houses. In the future, the Bribery Commission and similar agencies have a duty to inquire into how these people had amassed such large amounts of wealth. This is nothing else. This was a bribe given by former President Ranil Wickremesinghe to the MPs that were with him for appointing him as the president and also for supporting him at the presidential election. He had used the money in the treasury to do this.
පහුගිය ජනාධිපතිවරණයේ ජයග්‍රහණය කරන්න තමන් එක්ක හිටපු മന്ത്രിවරුන්ට භාණ්ඩාගාරේ මුදල් යොදාගෙන දුන්න අල්ලසක් හැටියට තමයි මේක හඳුන්වන්න වෙන්නේ.
A public meeting of the Sarva Jana Balaya party was held in Anuradhapura. The event was joined by a group of MPs representing the Sarva Jana Balaya who had obtained compensation citing damages caused to their houses during the Argalaya period.
Meanwhile, Deputy Minister Nalin Hevage emphasised the need to take measures to recover the compensation provided for the damage to houses.
On a
future date following a proper trial, these compensations should be doubled or tripled and recovered from those responsible. I believe this is not a cost our country should bear as it stems from their actions. Therefore, I think the government will need to reclaim the compensations through a formal process by increasing amounts as appropriate after a fair trial. We must conduct thorough investigations into this matter as well. The primary culprits behind the incident are the former president and his sons who brought their supporters to temple trees and provoked them. We also witnessed how they collaborated with the Deputy Inspector Generals during the unrest. I believe the largest amounts of compensation should be reclaimed from them. Also, further investigations should be conducted into the incident that occurred later in the evening.
Meanwhile, citizens' movement against fraud, corruption and waste visited the Criminal Investigation Department today.
If a citizen's property is burned down, the responsible parties are tracked down and legal action is taken to recover compensation. If there is insurance, the company steps in to handle the compensation. However, under these convenient parliamentary privileges, compensation has been given only to MPs, a relief not even extended to the general public. No compensation has been paid to the public, MPs or provincial councillors whose properties, houses, etc. were destroyed during the Argalaya period. But of course, they seem to think it is perfectly moral to sit in the cabinet, enjoying the benefits and keeping it all within their own circle. Before all this, There was the issue of faulty gas cylinders, with people's gas cylinders exploding and causing fires in their homes. But no one bothered to pay compensation for that. There were natural disasters that struck, destroying homes and burying them under debris. It is questionable whether compensations were offered for that. We are urging the Criminal Investigation Department to look into this, as these matters should not simply be brushed aside. If there are no laws in place to address these issues, then we are telling this government not to bury the public's concerns by bringing up other incidents and throwing out empty words. We have filed complaints, and if the laws are lacking, we have already handed the government the power of 159 seats. So we demand that the law be applied to the politicians and officials who have looted the property of this nation, and that appropriate action be taken against them. An investigation must immediately be initiated into whether these houses were set on fire with the sole intention of obtaining compensation money. It appears that the compensation funds have been distributed among a selected few, so an investigation should be carried out to determine if outsiders really set fire to these houses. We also suspect if the homeowners themselves set fire to their own properties to claim the compensation money. Proper investigations should take place on that too. We also have a question as to how so many houses ended up burning down to such an extent.
මේ ගෙවල් ඇත්තටම මේ ප්‍රමාණයක් ගෙවල් ගිනි ගත්තද කියන ප්‍රශ්නයකුත් අපිට තියෙනවා.
This is what parliamentarian Dayasiri Jayasekara had to say.
අපි දන්නවා පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරු 42 දෙනෙකුට.
We know that 42 MPs have obtained compensation from the government. In addition, a total of 500 million rupees has been given to 72 individuals, including local government officials. No one mentioned this amount. As far as I know, the damage assessments were carried out by the Government Evaluation Department. I suggest that if anyone has used this damage assessment for their own advantage and obtained funds improperly, steps should be taken to recover that amount from them, and legal action should be initiated against them.
The fire brigade of the Colombo Municipal Council says that they suspect that the fire at the Krish building in Colombo Fort was caused due to the gas cutters used by the workers there. The fire that erupted on the 35th floor of the Krish building on the 6th of February had then spread to the 34th floor. The fire was doused after an operation that lasted several hours. The head of the fire brigade of the Colombo Municipal Council, PDKA Wilson, said that his officers are conducting further investigations into the incident. Security officials at the building have been summoned for an inquiry into the incident.
The building had been left abandoned for a long time and it had become a danger. The material used for the construction of this building had decayed and parts of them began falling onto the road. An order was issued from court to secure this location and ensure that it does not hinder the daily lives of the people. It is based on that the company is carrying out these operations. When they are using these frame cutters with oxyacetylene, when fragments of the metal fall down, they are at very high temperatures, and when these debris come into contact with decayed wood fragments, it may cause a blaze. That is what had happened. This is what we contained.
ඕක තමයි මේක සිද්ධ වෙලා තිබුණේ. ඒක තමයි අන්තිමේදී අපි පාලනය කරලා කටයුතු කරේ.
Is there a risk of another blaze when the removal of debris begins again?
For the moment, the operations have been suspended because of the investigations. When the operations resume, we will speak with both parties and ensure that these operations are conducted safely.
What is the police saying? 2 police teams have been deployed for investigations into the 2 fires that erupted at the Krish building in Fort Colombo. Police media spokesperson SSP Buddhika Manathunga said that the government analyst will prepare a report on the incident. Is the building now secure? Security surrounding the Krish building has been beefed up. Minister Anand Vijaypala said that approximately 20 police officers have been deployed.
Do you remember? What is this Krish project? The building constructed in the One Transwork Square, located at Chatham Street, is also known as the Krish Square. This structure consists of 92 floors. Initially launched as a multi-purpose project to provide both commercial and residential facilities, the investment in this project exceeds $450 million, with local investors also contributing. Do you remember the allegations regarding the financial transactions of the Krish project? The Krish project became another point of controversy due to alleged irregularities in the financial transactions associated with it. Allegations of money laundering and large-scale fraud were raised in Parliament during the period between 2013 and 2014. Do you remember that Namal Rajapaksa was also taken into custody with regard to this? Member of Parliament Namal Rajapaksa was arrested under the Money Laundering Act in connection with a deal worth 70 million rupees and was held in remand custody until he was granted bail in July 2016. Later, the construction of the Krish building was halted. The Urban Development Authority explained that the construction ceased due to several issues such as the COVID-19 pandemic, the shortage of dollars, and a labor shortage. Do you remember what happened to the local investors? Local investors had contributed to the funds of the Krish project with the intention of acquiring residential and commercial spaces. Many of these investors took legal action to reclaim the money that they invested.
නඩු 7ක් විතර දාලා තියෙන උසාවියේ CID එකට කම්ප්ලේන්ට් කරලා තියෙනවා 15ක් විතර.
තව කවුද ඔය වගේ ව්‍යාපාරිකයෝ අහුවෙලා ඉන්න කොච්චරක් ඉන්නවද?
කොළඹ ඉන්න ප්‍රධානම සල්ලිකාරයෝ ටික මේකේ ඉන්නවා. ගෙවල් 50ක් අරගෙන තියෙනවා.
Do you remember the most recent incident? What's happening now? The latest situation involves allegations that parliamentarian Namal Rajapaksa misappropriated 70 million rupees under the guise of promoting rugby in the country. The Attorney General indicted Namal Rajapaksa in the Colombo High Court 10 days ago.
This is yet another revelation that highlights a road development project where millions in taxpayer funds were spent only for the work to be abandoned halfway through.
What happened to the village?
This road connects the village of Vikadinigama and Dalupotagama, which falls under the purview of the Ahattuava Divisional Secretariat in Kurunegala. This road is also the route to the Rasvihira temple through Nitalava Gallava. For decades, the road has not been properly maintained. However, various projects did come about promising to develop the road. The most recent project was in 2021. A project was launched to lay asphalt along the road. However, the work was never completed, and this is the current state of the road.
කාපට් කරනවා කියන තීන්දුව මත පාර සකස් කරලා දැන් අද පහින්වත් යන්න බෑ. ඊටම වල්ලලි ගහන ප්‍රදේශයක් හදිස්සියකට වල්ලලියෙක් මුණ ගැහුනොත් පාරේ මාරු වීමේ තත්ත්වයක්වත් මිනිසුන්ට නිදහසක් නැහැ. ඒ වගේම ඉස්කෝල ළමයි බර සංඛ්‍යාවක් මේ පාරේ යනවා. මේ වෙනකොට බස් රථ 4-5කට එහා සේවාවේ ගමනාන්තයේ යෙදෙනවා. ඒ හැම දෙයකම අතුරු ප්‍රතිඵලය තමයි ගමනක් ගියොත් අහපව එනු නැහැ. අතරමඟ හුලම් බහිනා ඒ වගේ දුක් කරදර ගොඩකට මුහුණ දීලා ඉන්නේ.
The government allocated 500 million rupees for the development of this road. The construction of the road was scheduled to conclude within 6 months. Now, 4 years later, the people are still waiting for the road to be complete. What happened to the 500 million rupees? Who is responsible? When will this road be complete?
What happened to the village?
There exist many issues that remain unresolved by the authorities. And tonight on Happy Headlines, we are ready to bring to you the story of a group of people that placed trust in their own strength rather than in promises that will never be fulfilled.
Happy Headlines.
The road connecting Attaltota Diganna and Kalukandava in the Palindanura Divisional Secretariat has not been renovated for many years. Requesting the authorities to renovate it had only proven to be futile. The majority of residents in this area depend on the tea industry for their livelihood. The villagers decided to look for answers themselves instead of waiting for the response of authorities. The construction of the road was funded by the people's money. They kept aside 2 rupees for every kilogram of tea they pluck. The road is currently under construction using the funds that have been collected so far. The people of Kalukandava remind us that together nothing is impossible.
Happy headlines.
Newsfirst with the people.
On to more local news now. The Vehicle Importers Association of Sri Lanka says that it is expected that a new batch of vehicles will arrive in the country on the 25th and 27th of this month. Accordingly, by the second week of March, the general public will have the opportunity to purchase vehicles of all categories. Chairman of the Vehicle Importers Association of Sri Lanka, Prasad Manage, made this statement at a media briefing held in Colombo today.
By now, we have opened letters of credit. 2 shipments carrying brand new vehicles are scheduled to arrive in the country on the 25th and 27th February. The second shipment is set to arrive in the second week of March. By then, vehicles of all ranges will be available in Sri Lanka. Therefore, I urge buyers to remain patient. All types of vehicles will arrive in the country. Pricings will be set from 6 million rupees onwards. An Alto can be purchased at a price starting from 6 million rupees. And a Wagon-R can be purchased at about 6 to 6.5 million rupees. A Yaris will be priced at about 8.5 million rupees and upwards. Kindly remain patient until vehicles arrive in the country. You could go to 3 or 4 showrooms yourself and pick a vehicle of your choice based on your budget.
2 suspects arrested in Dubai and brought back to Sri Lanka are now being interrogated under detention orders. Police confirmed that one of the suspects, Rotumba Upali, will be investigated under a 7-day detention order.
Pradeep Sandaruan alias Kulannave Chandana is being questioned under a 72-hour detention order. Ranmuni Mahesh Hemantha Silva, also suspect in the shooting of 5 individuals, including leader of the Ape Janabala Party, Saman Pereira, is yet to be produced in court. Nadakandage Upali, alias Rotumba Upali, is accused of 2 murders, including the brutal killing of an individual, Vijay Singh, in Akurasa on the 1st November 2008. He has been handed over to Akurasa police for further investigation. Kadan Gamadeniye Gedra Pradeep Sandaruan, alias Kulannave Chandana, faces charges related to 4 shooting incidents, assault and property damage. He has been transferred to the crime division of the Western Province South. These organized criminals were arrested in Dubai and brought to Sri Lanka yesterday. SSP Buddhika Manatunga confirmed that red notices have been issued for 65 other criminals who have fled the country.
Is the control price imposed by the government on paddy sufficient? What are the farmers saying? This is what the Organisation to Protect the Rights of Farmers from Namaloya in Ampara had to say about the price of paddy.
The control prices imposed by the government on paddy are as follows: 120 rupees for a kilo of nadu, 125 rupees for a kilo of samba, 132 rupees for a kilo of kiri samba. Here are the views expressed at a media briefing convened by the Organisation to Protect the Rights of Farmers from Namaloya Ampara regarding the control prices imposed by the government.
In comparison to the past few years, the 120 rupees control price imposed is a price that we can be content with. We know that during the past few years, the government completely stepped back from the farming sector and these transactions were taking place between the farmer and the private sector. The fertilizer subsidy was increased. We were given the MOP fertilizer. With the reduction in the price of fuel, we can be happy with the price that has been imposed for our harvest.
Views were expressed regarding the price quoted for paddy by private traders and the hesitation among farmers to sell paddy to the Paddy Marketing Board.
Kiri Samba was purchased at 125 rupees and this was only from about 10% of the farmers who had kept the paddy with them for about 2 to 3 months. The other paddy was purchased at prices ranging from 80, 85, 90, 100 and 105 rupees. It is from the paddy that they purchased like this that they are now selling rice to the general public at 230 rupees. These private businessmen are earning money at the expense of both the farmers and the general public. When the government announced that they will purchase paddy at 120 rupees, the private sector purchased paddy at 125 rupees. These farmers are saying that they will sell paddy to the private sector because of these 5 rupees. Who are the farmers who say that they will not give a single grain of rice to the government? Those farmers are representing these rice mill owners. But what did the rice mill owner give them? There is nothing that the rice mill owner gave them. Just because you have a month does not make you a leader. You have to see the truth. Remember that you are selling paddy to the private sector at 125 rupees today because the government imposed a control price of 120 rupees.
The chairman of the Paddy Marketing Board urged farmers to sell a portion of their produce to the Paddy Marketing Board as well.
The Paddy Marketing Board is a part of the state. We make a request from farmers to provide us with a portion of your harvest. This is the portion for the nation. We will store this, and if there is a crisis, we can release these stocks. We are attempting to gather a sizable quantity. I checked the reports a short while ago and still farmers have not sold paddy to us. As an institution that was tied up for so long, we cannot compete with the large-scale rice mill owners. That is the truth. What we are saying is that for the government to impose a control price, it is not sufficient just to gazette the price. We need a mechanism to sustain it. That is what we have to do at our level.
Will the large-scale rice mill owners who purchase paddy this season sell rice above the control price in the future?
In addition to the money and effort of the farmer, there has been public money and public effort put into this as well. Therefore, they have a responsibility to sell this to consumers at a reasonable price. That has not happened. There is some anomaly here. During such a time as a short-term solution, a control price can be imposed. That has been done now. I believe that the government has taken a strong stance that they will not allow anyone to sell rice above that rate.
The mortal remains of the late Newsfirst journalist Anuruddha Ratnayaka were laid to rest at a private funeral house in Boralla from 7 p.m. today for public viewing. The general public can pay their final respects until 10 p.m. today.
The mortal remains of Anuruddha Ratnayaka will be taken to his hometown Thambuttegama in Anuradhapura after 10 p.m. tonight. His final rites will be observed at the Thambuttegama Pothiyagama cemetery on the day after tomorrow. Anuruddha Ratnayaka, a journalist of the Newsfirst team for nearly 2 decades, tragically passed away last morning at the age of 42. As a programs officer at the Maharaja Institute of Management, Anuruddha played a pioneering role in introducing many talented individuals to the country through the Sirasa media network. From his role as a reporter to becoming a news editor, Anuruddha was involved in several programs including Gammadda, Sahanayatra, V-Force and Davasa. Anuruddha, who stood firm in his commitment to the public's right to information and was deeply sensitive to the suffering of others, leaves behind an eternal memory in our hearts.
The inaugural ceremony of the BIMSTEC Digital Conclave 2025 took place in Colombo yesterday.
The inaugural ceremony of the BIMSTEC Digital Conclave 2025, titled Building Digital Public Infrastructure for Shared Prosperity, took place in Colombo yesterday.
India has, over the past decade or so, undergone a digital transformation at an unprecedented pace and scale, with unparalleled benefits to all sections of the society. At a time when mobile and data access were globally seen as a convenience, India adopted a model that envisioned digitization not only as a means of connectivity, but as a medium of equity and opportunity. And that, to me, is the essence of digital public infrastructure. India today has issued digital IDs, referred to as Aadhaars, to 1.3 billion of its citizens and residents. We have used the power of the JAM Trinity, Jan Dhan bank accounts, Aadhaar or the digital identity, and the mobile phones to revolutionize financial inclusion in India. It has allowed government to make 450 million direct cash transfers, transfer food rations to 850 million people directly in full transparency, and many other such quite mind-boggling initiatives. In the last 10 years, direct benefits transfer has amounted to about $450 billion. It has also plugged leakages and has saved over $35 billion US. Digitization has been extended to government services, transforming accessibility through e-governance.
This is the era of technologies, and development and use of Generation 4 technologies would depend on how robust our digital public infrastructure is. And therein lies the importance of building digital public infrastructure and also this conclave. BIMSTEC member states have indeed taken specific initiatives towards their digital transformation, including building their DPIs. BIMSTEC as a regional organization has remained focused on technical and economic cooperation. It has stayed away from divisive political issues. It's the only organization in the region which brings together 5 countries from South Asia and 2 countries from Southeast Asia. BIMSTEC now has its own charter and has well-established core and sectoral mechanisms for forging cooperation among its member states. It has a very well-defined and vast agenda covering 15 different sectors of cooperation. And we have taken an innovative way to ensure involvement of all the member states by identifying lead member states for forging cooperation in specific sectors.
I think this particular offer from India and also BIMSTEC gives us a great opportunity to do things fast, put things in place fast. That is the goal of this government, and we are very much looking forward to adapting technology which is used. And also not only about the success, I hope tomorrow we will discuss more about the failures. Because if we know where the pitfalls are, that's where we would do things better. Because our societies are not far different. Societies, the cultures are very similar. And I think the pains that other governments went through in digitizing and creating this infrastructure will give us a lot of learnings.
Sri Lanka is on a bold journey to build a fully digital and cashless economy, ensuring that technology is accessible to every citizen, business and government service. Our government has outlined a comprehensive digital roadmap that focuses on developing digital public infrastructure to enable secure, scalable and interoperable services, enhancing digital payment ecosystems to accelerate financial inclusion and cross-border trade, leveraging AI, blockchain and cloud technology to modernize governance and public services, promoting digital IT systems to make service access seamless and efficient.
The event was joined by senior government stakeholders, policymakers, key private sector figures and influential civil society voices from the BIMSTEC states. And panel discussions also took place.
A Russian language course commenced at the police academy in Attidia today.
Within the next 6 months, 20 police officers will be studying Russian under this Russian language course at the National Police Academy of Sri Lanka and receiving A1 level certificates. Today's ceremony was held under the patronage of the First Secretary of the Russian Embassy in Colombo and Director of the Russian House in Colombo, Maria Papua, Director of Police Academy, Attidia, SSP Nishanta Chandrasekhara and other dignitaries.
It's not for the first time that we're dealing with Sri Lankan police officers. officers. And I must admit that all the police officers who took our language courses proved to be the most eager, talented and disciplined learners that we have ever seen. That knowledge truly helps them in their everyday work, especially when dealing with Russian tourists who simply love this island and come in droves every day. I wish you luck in learning my beautiful language, the language of the world's literary greats, and the language of love.
Embassy always helping to Sri Lanka police, not only the language training, they are providing so many facilities. With your support, we can do lot of things in relevance to the law enforcement as well as the our day-to-day police duties. We are promoting our tourism. To promote tourism, we need to know about who are coming to here, especially a lot of Russian people coming to here as tourism. We have so many tourist destination. Then if we have good understanding about these people, then we can welcome more and more tourism into this country. As law enforcement officers, you should have good understanding about these languages.
This course was conducted for tourist police officers in the southern province last year.
The People's Summit 2025, which was organized by SLASCOM, was held in Colombo yesterday.
The People's Summit 2025 is held under the theme Engage, Empower, Elevate, the new playbook. Chairman of SLASCOM, Nishan Mendes, highlighted the significance of the event.
The theme for this year's summit, Engage, Empower, Elevate, the new playbook, is both timely and transformative. It speaks to the heart of what we, as leaders and professionals, must focus on this dynamic era. As leaders, our role is to remove barriers, nurture talent, and inspire individuals to take ownership of their growth and contributions. Sri Lanka's knowledge and innovation industry is a testament to how engaging talent, empowering innovation, and elevating potential can transform not just businesses but entire economies. This summit is more than just an event. It's a platform for dialogue, discovery, and development.
Keynote speaker for the event, former Sri Lanka cricket captain Mahela Jayawardena, spoke on leadership in transformation from vision to victory.
When you're in a team, you have different personalities, you have different people that you talk to. But one thing is that you cannot demand respect. You have to earn your respect. Responsibility is something that you cannot shy away from, especially if you're a leader. And if you're making decisions and you're being part of a team where the decisions have been discussed, but at the end of the day, you as a leader, you probably have to make that call. And once you make that call, and if it's not a great call, you can't turn around and point fingers at the team. You have to put your hand up and say, I made a mistake, and take that responsibility on you. Transparency is about being open in your conversations, letting the others know what you're thinking, what you're trying to do, makes things much easier, better. There's no way called my way or highway. It's all about empowering, delegating responsibilities to your teammates. And finally, no replacement for hard work. Absolutely no replacement. You put in a shift, you take the rewards.
Honorary Consul of Georgia and Sri Lanka, Diane Gomez, spoke under the topic, The People-Centered Revolution, Engage, Empower, Elevate for Thriving Future.
In sports, you don't need to go to Harvard Business School to learn humility and humbleness. A simple soldier, taught me the humility and the humbleness. Each person reacts very differently under pressure and under fear. Your job as a leader is to keep cool and you can never show your fear. Think out of the box. We are Sri Lankans. It is like how we started playing cricket. Sports is the best thing for you all to understand.
The summit offers unparalleled networking opportunities and thought-provoking discussions and is one of the most anticipated people-centric conferences of the year.
Day 3 of the Gaul Literary Festival 2025 continued today.
The Galle Literary Festival 2025 was in full swing, with today marking its third day. The festival has been buzzing with excitement, offering a packed schedule of workshops, thought-provoking talks, captivating poetry readings, and unique cultural performances, all set in the heart of Galle. Attendees have been treated to a truly enriching experience as celebrated authors host immersive sessions that dive deep into literature and creativity. These sessions have sparked engaging conversations, giving visitors the chance to connect with many renowned writers and literary figures. It's been a wonderful blend of inspiration, learning, and meaningful connections. Today, many performances of cultural significance were on display at the garden stage. This included a performance organized by the Indian High Commission in Sri Lanka. In addition to the literary events, the Gum at the Give a Book project continued to draw support, with authors and festive goers generously donating books in a variety of genre and languages. The project aims to foster a love for reading and education by collecting books that will be donated to the library at Sri Gunananda School in Udugama, Galle, a facility established by Gammadda. The response to the project has been inspiring, with contributions continuing to pour in throughout the day. The Galle Literary Festival, which celebrates literature, art and cultural exchange, will continue tomorrow. Artists from M Entertainments also put on some breathtaking performances at the garden stage today.
This LitFest, let's make it count. Fuel dreams, change the future. For hundreds of students at the Sri Gunananda School in Udugama, Galle. Drop your books at the Gum at the Book Drive. Let's turn the page together from the 6th to the 9th of February. The Gum at the Give a Book project at the Galle LitFest.
A judge has temporarily blocked President Donald Trump from placing 2,200 workers at the U.S. Agency for International Development, or USAID, on paid leave hours before it was due to happen.
Judge Carl Nicholas issued a limited temporary restraining order in response to a last-minute lawsuit filed by two unions trying to save the agency. The order will remain in place for a week until the 14th of February at midnight. Separately, on Saturday, another federal judge blocked Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency from accessing Treasury Department records that include the personal financial data of millions of Americans. Trump has argued that USAID, the overseas aid agency, is not a valuable use of taxpayer money and wants to dismantle it. He plans to put nearly all the agency's 10,000 employees on leave except 611 workers. Some 500 staff had already been put on administrative leave and another 2,200 were due to join them from midnight on Friday. But the last-minute lawsuit on Friday argued the government was violating the US Constitution and also that the workers were suffering harm. Judge Nicholas sided with the unions, saying they would suffer irreparable harm if the court did not intervene, while there would be zero harm to the government. The order also reinstates the 500 staff already placed on administrative leave. The judge will also consider a request for a longer-term pause at the hearing on Wednesday.
Shifting attention to neighbouring India, Prime Minister Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party, or BJP, celebrated a significant victory in the Delhi election, ending a 27-year gap in forming the government in the capital.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's party will form the government in Indian capital Delhi after 27 years as it scripted an impressive election victory. The Bharatiya Janata Party has won or is leading in 47 seats in the 70-member Legislative Assembly, while the incumbent Aam Aadmi Party is ahead in 23 seats according to data from the Election Commission of India. A party that wins more than the halfway mark of 35 seats can form the government. Modi wrote on X that development wins and good governance triumphs, adding that his party would leave no stone unturned in developing Delhi. The election was a battle of prestige for both the BJP and AAP, given Delhi's symbolic importance as the country's capital. More than 60% of eligible voters cast their ballot in the election on Wednesday. Most exit polls had predicted an absolute majority for the BJP, although such predictions have gone wrong in the past. Congress, the main opposition party at the national level, was also in the race but is unlikely to win even one seat. The party governed Delhi from 1998 to 2013 but was ousted over allegations of corruption that saw voters turn to AAP instead. It has failed to make a mark since. Experts say that the win in politically crucial Delhi will reinforce Modi's popularity among Indian voters after his party lost its outright majority in last year's general election.
Well, that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. Thank you for watching. Take care. Good night.